We've reached a moment in this international crisis where individual citizen heroes are coming to the surface, and I'm so delighted to introduce the Crowdsource the Truth audience to a new friend of mine, Heshy Tischler. Hesh, welcome to the show.
Hello, my brother. How are you? Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, I think it's giving your phone number right there. Something just came on screen.
I know. They always
well, people can call you and say hello. You're known in Boro Park as Uncle Heshy. I referred to you here as a big Macher, which is a guy who people look up to, a man who is a learned, wise individual who commands respect. And that's my impression of you. You're the guy who cut the lock on the park that Mayor de Blasio insisted go on there to keep kids from playing in the park. You've been really a pillar. You're a champion of freedom, and now you're running for city council to change the whole entire face of New York City Council. Give us a little background if you can, Heshy.
Well, I've been doing this for 30 years. Cutting the locks is nothing new. I mean, and I'm so and I'm appreciative that you're calling me a man that's a macher and that people look up to me. I'm a regular guy, my brother. I'm a regular guy, and I want to tell that to your audience. People from children of 5 years old come over to me. I give out candies on the Sabbath. Kids come just wave and say hello. People come into my house. The door's open. We're nobody special, me and Linda. We're regular people just doing whatever we can to wake up tomorrow morning, because you never know what happens. I'm not looking to be a multi-billionaire. That's why I'm not looking for the big money from the big, even though I work with big developers and contractors. I work with I work for the city too. People have asked to give bigger donations and say, listen, everybody give me a donation. You want to give me $175? It stays under the 200 limit. You have 3 or 4 friends of yours, you can all do that. I want to get in with a grassroots campaign. I want to show the people that I am for the people and elected by the people. You know, today and yesterday, they said, Heshy, calm down. You're too wild. You have too much energy. I said, I've always had the energy. I'm 56 years old. I don't know why you want me to get rid of the energy. I still play baseball with the kids. Yes, I cheat. I understand. I cut the line. You know what I mean? I am a little older. You know, I can't run as fast. But I want you to know that this is not the first thing we do. Me and Linda have taken in 21 kids off the street, foster kids, Muslim, Black, Jewish. I've hired hundreds of people from the projects, Black, Spanish, white, Jewish. I've taught people my businesses, from construction to expediting. I want people to do. I bring people home from jail. Matter of fact, we just brought home a guy now who had 27 years to life, a young boy. We fought for him for 3 years, going to visit him every 2 weeks. We just got him home now on bail because we overturned his conviction. And these are things me and Linda do all the time. You know, I make fun of my wife all the time, make jokes of her. You know why? Because me and Linda are perfect. I mean, not that we have a good marriage, because we fight a lot. I mean, she fights a lot. I don't really fight a lot. She's always wrong. But, and I make fun of her cooking, and I make fun of the way the house is, but she is the perfect wife because she loves me. Like this morning, as a joke, I mean, we were talking to each other, and I get up 4:30 every morning, and sometimes I wake her up to help me with some things, and she goes back, and she says, you know what? You're a handsome man, and I love you. I said, are you crazy, Linda? I'm fat, I'm old, and I'm gray. And I said to her, you're just nuts. And she says, I still love you. And she calls me anytime. We are, for 31 years, I've missed 30 days of being at home, plus 9 months and 1 week due to some personal, if you want to know, I'll give it to you. I'm not happy about it. A personal a situation that happened to me. But I have been taking care of children. We've been helping people with their homes. I'm an HBD receiver. When they take away buildings from landlords and tenants are stuck, I take care of them. I walk down the streets and try to pull kids off the streets. I volunteer in the youth center. I'm a volunteer in the hospital for 30 years. Now over there, I use my power. I'm not a bully, but when somebody hurts my fellow man and somebody bullies the young person, whether it's the city, your idiot mayor, I'm going to say it, governor, I am not scared. I walk into projects. I'm not scared. You're not going to bully me or my citizens. Yes, many times I've been threatened. They've come after me in many ways, the city or regular people. I don't even know why I have enemies. I mean, I know I'm trying to be a big shot to you, that I'm a good guy. I've made mistakes. I've screamed. I've lost it from time to time. But you know what? I'm educated to somewhat. I've experienced almost every possible issue or something that goes wrong. I've seen death. I've seen young children lose their parents. I've seen homelessness. I've experienced living on the floor with Linda when we got married. That's why I can never leave her. She has all the money. We slept on a mattress on the floor, baby. We had babies. We couldn't afford diapers. We struggled. We fought for every dollar. And we got ripped off a couple times like anybody got conned. I've learned a lot in the last 30-something years, not only serving my community. I work in the Black communities. I work in every borough. I work in the Latino communities. I work with the Asian communities. I'm all over the place. So, and I've taken care of my mother. I've been to the hospital when she was sick, and my mother taught me how to take care of the sick people. I've been around, and so has my wife, Linda. My wife, Linda, doesn't like the limelight. I talk about her a lot. Everybody knows Linda, but they never meet her. They're welcome to come to the house. When they come to the house, they see her, and they say, oh, my God, you're Linda? It's not that I keep her hidden. She doesn't like to be out there, and I am out there because if you don't fight back, today I met an inspector from the Department of Buildings. He gets out of his car. He says, you're the gangster Jew. And I said, listen to me, Mr.
He
Inspector.
said that to you?
Yeah. And they like me. Most of them like me. I'm pretty even with them. I don't mistreat them. And these are inspectors that are not running around the streets finding my store owners or homeowners. These are guys that are coming there to help the city. And he's the inspector. I'm the anti-inspector. I'm working for the tenant or the homeowners and showing him how to open a job, how to unvacate, how in compliance we are. These guys are coming to me with compliance. And so he came out today. We're doing a big inspection, and they're like, tough guy coming out. I said, listen to me, Inspector, I never fail. I'm always good, maybe an objection here and there. And I said, soon I'm going to be your boss. And he says, oh, you have to behave yourselves. You torturing everybody. I said, I'm right. You work for the city. I'm right. But we've done a lot of work together. So inspectors know who I am. Many of them love me. Most of them respect me because I do my job the right way. And I get disappointed with the way their bosses, even they admit to me sometimes, how their bosses give them stupid rules or new regulations, and they have to follow it even though it's wrong. Some of them are in the business 30, 40 years like me, and we know the right way. And then these new guys come up who have no experience, and they just, follow these new rules that don't make sense.
So Hesh, let me slow you down a second, because you have a tendency to go 500 miles an hour, and it's great.
Let me tell you, my brother Jason, I get up in the morning. I'm scared to waste time. Sometimes I take a break in the middle of the day and I get myself a sandwich or whatever. So that's the only time I slow down. Not really. I eat pretty quick too. Damn. Wow.
And so I heard you on Tim Pool the other day. You were saying that among all this other stuff that you do to serve the community, you're volunteering at Maimonides. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I go. I don't really volunteer. What I do is I work for the people. I go around. I give out. I don't volunteer. I help the people. I give out a blanket, a soup. A nurse needs me to run there. I go visit different people. When they have an issue, I go scream. Again, that's when I use my big Macher status.
Right. And the thing is, I haven't spent that much time in Boro Park at all, but I will say when I was there was a real sense of community. I mean, you're talking about helping Black people, Hispanic people, white people, Jewish people, whatever. And there was this coexistence of really vastly different cultures where everybody respects everybody. It's a real neighborhood. I think people have this sense of New York that they get from television. They don't see the type of stuff that's going on there. And we've been hearing, Maimonides has been one of the hospitals sort of at the center of this. The mayor and the governor have been calling the neighborhood a hot spot, locking things down.
More lies, lies, stupidity.
Tell us about that.
Okay, let me tell you something. My neighborhood, just my particular Boro Park neighborhood, is based around 20 square blocks. I could walk from, 20 blocks and I'll be stopped 20, 30 different times. You know what I mean?
Of people wanting to talk to you. chat with you.
Right. Talk to me, stop me. How are you, Heshy? Hello. People just call me Heshy. Now, and I don't like when they call me Mr. Tischler, even the little kids, except when I'm dealing with the city or inspectors or I'm trying to push somebody around, they better call me Mr. Tischler. No. But what I'm trying to tell you is Maimonides, like all the other hospitals, have residents, incompetence, understaffed. They pay low fees so they can make big profits. Maimonides is a private hospital with private funding, most of it, like 90% of it, and they get money from the government when they're doing certain new building construction. They own like 10 blocks around us. They're very rich hospital. And they're incompetent. Like, like I was telling Tim Pool, I have a cousin in the nursing home business. And she says, hey, you better leave us alone because you don't understand. I said, I understand, my dear cousin. You're trying to make more money, and I don't mind you being wealthy and super rich, but you're not going to make it. And I want you to make it on people, but don't make sure that you give us a faulty product. When I do business with somebody else, I make a little less because I want both sides to have the fairness of the deal. I want everybody to be satisfied. Sure, I want to make as much money. I want to charge higher fees, but I want to make sure that my product is serviced properly to the other side. Now, Maimonides Hospital was incompetent, just like many of the hospitals. Your government, today they say there's 100,000 people in the hospitals. It's overloading in the U.S. We have 30 hospitals alone here in New York City. And we have 6 deaths a day normally last year than this year. So nothing has changed.
What do you mean? 6 deaths per day higher last year than this year?
No. It's on the average 6 per day. At one particular point of this year, March, April, May, June, you're right, it went up by 25,000 deaths those few months. Since then, the average is the same. So whatever lie you want to tell me that the death rate has gone up, I don't know what death rate you're talking about, my brother. But let me forget about that. Well, now let's go to New York City. We have about 500 beds in a hospital, 300 beds in a hospital. Times that by 30 beds, to 30 hospitals, just alone right there. What is your number of patients in the hospital a day? They're telling me there's 100,000 people, there's overloading. I go to my hospital. Half the beds are empty. Yes, the emergency room usually on a Sunday gets crowded because of the incompetence and understaffed on the Sabbath or weekends. So people are not taken care of. I see people sitting there for 2 days, same patients. People, no food, no drink, or I go around with a piece of cake or a bottle of water. I mean, come on. It's not true. I mean, I just don't understand that even if you're right, somebody comes in with a corona patient, they're leaving him in the emergency room for 2 days. But I'm telling you now, the lies that the government is overloaded. Even Israel, I have a guy now checking Israel. 11 hospitals he checked, half empty. I don't know where the overcrowding is. When I was passing by the Borough Hall in Brooklyn, we have the mayor's city hall that we have Borough Hall. I saw them bringing in hundreds of boxes of Chinese masks into their storage room. I mean, and why did they give them out? They're giving them away free now. In the beginning, we used to pay for it. Why are they still buying even Chinese masks?
Right.
And why don't you get local garbage? Why don't you get people who make masks and let them make some money? I'm speaking to guys who bought so much of this PPE product, they can't get rid of it. They can't get rid of it. Wow. They're calling me, Hesh, do you know somebody? I said, I don't do this for a living. I recommend them to the hospital. I recommend them to a friend. But people in Jersey are calling me now. I said, I don't need the product. As you know, I never use the product. And it's just foolish. Today, I'm going to go off of topic. Today, they called me about the vaccine. And
who's they? Who called you?
2 chemists and a rabbi in the neighborhood. I can't tell you his name. He was on my show. He doesn't like when I talk about him. So he made his own little liquid, and he put some hydrochloroquine and some of his secret ingredient. And
Zev Zelenko. Dr. Zelenko.
No. It's like a Zelenko, but he's not a Zelenko. Zelenko does hydrochloroquine and zinc and all that. This guy does a different concoction. And you take this liquid, it comes in a small container, you give him your age, like this big, and he rubs it, and you rub it on your underarm. I have a video of me doing that. me and my partner. And if you put that in, it's called a virus killer. There was about 400 or 500 people that weren't feeling well. And when I came out with the video, I sent people to him. And I hear a few thousand people took his liquid, and most of them got better.
I want to make sure we let people know, however, Heshy, that you and I are both not doctors, and this is not specifically medical advice. You're just giving us anecdotal information about. Yeah.
I'm not giving you any advice. If you're not feeling well and the doctors don't take care of you, you're going to die. So what I do is I said, listen, here's a guy with a home remedy. Try it. He's a chemist. And hundreds of people tried it, just like me. I never got sick. Usually I get very sick in November, and I didn't get sick since last year, which is interesting. Because usually I snap my fingers when I'm sitting on the couch screaming at my wife, hey, woman, bring me food. And you know
people should know you're joking when you talk about Linda, and it is very funny. I think you've got a bit of a Borscht Belt comedian kind of a thing going on with the statements about Linda. I want to make sure that people know they can subscribe to your YouTube channel by searching for Just Enough Heshy. And of course, you and I were at the...
But don't forget, heshytischler.com. I am running for city council, 25, 50, 100. I mean, guys, I want your donations. I don't want you to go broke. I don't want somebody to take out $200 when he can't afford it because he wants to get me elected. We'll get elected. You have an extra 10, I also am broke during the week, and I have $20 for cigarettes or whatever. I don't smoke, really,
good,
but I'm not supposed to tell you. Anyways,
Hesh. You got to quit.
I am. I quit 5 years. This election and what this mayor has done started me back up again. I'm disappointed at myself.
Well,
and I always enjoy the good cigarette. And my wife screams at me.
Yeah, I'm with her. I want to make sure we're going to get to the campaign for city council. But before we do, I just want to, for a moment, take you back to Mac's Public House, because we were both there at a really impressive rally in Staten Island.
I'm going to tell you how it gets to Mac. I am a fighter for unjust. When you throw somebody out of a house, when you're trying to hurt a business, when they take kids away from people's homes, I always have been trying to fight for the parents and mediate divorces. Like now, one of my competitors, Amber Adler, she took her ex-husband and got him deported so he should never see the children. Ooh. I am for injustice. I am against injustice. Now, Max, I saw his video last week before I went to, was it this week, right? I went to Washington this week. And I saw his video, how they shut him down illegally, how they put him into, they gave him a cease and desist. They took away his license, the health department. Then they went after him on the liquor license in one day. You can't do that. You can't have a hearing in one day and then dissolve his licenses. Even then, he is allowed to appeal it. Even then, it has to take time for determination. I mean, there's so many rules before you can do any of this stuff. And then here's the best part, my son. There's no court order, no warrant to walk into place. And they got some deputy idiot sheriff. I know he's a policeman. I love the police. But to sign the order to evict him from his own property. Even if you don't want nobody going in there, you don't have to throw him out. Anyways, the paperwork was forged. It wasn't even real. And they arrested the man.
Wow.
And now you can talk to me, Jason, about any other thing in the world. This is what I do. I fight for people's homes every day. I know the city laws. I know the city parks department, Department of Health, Department of Transportation.
So let's stop on that for a second, because you've just said some really important stuff. So Mac's Public House, Danny Pestry, what's his last name? Pestry, I think. He was dragged out of there in cuffs. So you're saying that the documentation wasn't even legitimate?
Well, if you speak to the state senator that was standing there, Lanza, he's such a nice man. They handed him the documents, and I filmed it in one of my videos the day before, and when they were arresting him, and I showed the people that it was signed by the deputy sheriff. I don't know about you, but I don't know what power the deputy sheriff has. I've evicted people. I help people with evictions and stop evictions. I work both sides. And a deputy sheriff needs the signature from the judge. And when the judge signs it, he gives it to the deputy sheriff or the sheriff's department. The sheriff still has to send it back 3 days later to execute, because somebody can file a motion or, they could file so many documents to override it, so he can't even execute it for a few days. And even then, he has to then clarify with the person he's executing it against if they're willing to comply or pay a bill or pay a fine. This was ridiculous. This was illegal. I'm telling you, Jason, what they did was criminal. Not illegal. They went not around the Constitution. They tore the Constitution apart. Now, I know Heshy's crazy. Everybody tells me, calm down, Heshy. Be a politician. Smile. Do nothing. Listen to people. Take the bright picture. You don't have to have a lot of people in the crowd. If you have 4 people behind you, but it's properly angled, you have to, I forgot what it would be, more trust. What is the word? Those fancy
Diplomatic?
people out there. No, diplomatic. I got that. I'm never going to be diplomatic. Get that out of your head. Artistic, aristocratic, be more
But
slower.
that's not who you are. You're a man of the neighborhood. You're a man of the people.
I'm a man of the street that understands what it is that I grew up with Italian boys 3 blocks away from me, and I had to sneak them into the JCH because they couldn't play basketball in the park over there, or they locked it up, or they couldn't get into the church gym. So the JCH would let us Jewish boys in. And when I brought my Italian friends in, they said, they're not Jewish. I said, sure, they're Jewish. He says, what? But they look different. He said, they look mafia. I said, they're Italian, but they're Italian Jewish. Their mother's Jewish, their father's Jewish. And the rabbis never believed us, or the people there, but they couldn't really fight with us. So, it's not that. You have to take care of your neighbors. You have to take care of the people that are poor. We have 69,000 homeless people. While your mayor and governor and the governor of that California are locking people up, what about the homeless people on the street? They don't seem to have corona. The basketball players, the baseball players that, corona spreads supposedly when I breathe without a mask on you. But these guys who are sweating, attacking each other, jumping on each other, you understand? They're tackling. I'm sure sweat comes off of them, or spit.
Yeah.
The baseball players spit on the ball. I see it. They spit on the ball, right? And they spit on the floor. No masks while they're playing ball, throwing the ball to the other guy. The other guy catches it, touches it. Can't wear gloves. They're not wearing gloves all the time. You can't wear gloves when you play ball. And then the other guy bounces off him and hits him on the head. Where's the corona? Now, I was watching boxing and wrestling. Somebody better tell me that corona doesn't spread when they're sweating and laying next to each other. Really? These guys are up to something. Now you're going to say, Heshy, here we go, conspiracy theory again. I'm not conspiracy theorying you or nothing. I just don't understand the story. I don't understand the money issue. I know the health industry was falling apart. I'm in the stock market. I understand investments. It took me a long time, and the health industry was falling apart. And this was a way to build the health industry. Every couple of years, there's something. The tech bubble blew, and remember, people lost billions of dollars, and it went in another direction. They want to, our population is a problem. We had 8 billion people almost. China, as you know, says 1 child. If you need a second one, it's with some money or some reason, and otherwise you have to abort it. The world is being overpopulated. And if you notice, this year, a lot of people couldn't go on dates, didn't have children. Look at the numbers. The numbers have decreased. Now, older people have died. They thought they'd be more successful. The guy in London, 2.5 million. Well, it's supposed 2.5 million Americans are supposed to die. I'm sure it's upsetting to him that less than 200,000 with fake numbers.
Ferguson,
and here's the best part.
Neil Ferguson. What? Neil Ferguson you're talking about.
Is somebody right in the Oxford thing, right?
Yeah, the London King's College or something like that.
Right.
Imperial College.
And what bothers me is after the first wave, I remember 100 times Fauci coming out, there's going to be a second wave. Don't think the summer is going to stop it. Where was your second wave? They keep giving me numbers that don't exist. 48 people this week had corona in Maimonides Hospital. 17 people died. Now, let me tell you, and that's from their numbers. I have it on their paper, okay? I'm telling you now, 1 person had corona, and I'm going to that. I am friends with my only, because most of the people there are Jewish who come there. I'm friends with the guy from the chapel. None of them died from corona. Let me tell you right now, none of them died. Now you're going to say, well, Hesh, you're not looking at the non-Jewish people. Again, The morgue is always open. There's nobody there. There's 600 people sitting in a frozen morgue somewhere in New York City they haven't taken care of. But over here, we have nobody in our morgue. We have nobody in the chapels that are dying from corona. And I had a guy last night say, Heshy, you idiot. My rabbi got corona. He's 88 and his daughter got corona and she's only 50, but you're right, she has underlying. I said, did you take the rabbi out in the middle of a cold weather at 88 years old? Why are you taking him even out of the house? My mother was 94. We didn't take her out in cold days. Did he bundle up? Why are you taking him to synagogue? Why are you taking him to the store? 88 years old doesn't have to go out anywhere. Just go buy for him. Go shopping. You know it's dangerous. Why'd you take him out? Anyways, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got somebody to blame. You know, if you want to blame somebody, blame me. You know, my name is Heshy Tischler, and I am a serious guy, and I'm going to take serious matters into my hand. And yes, I make jokes. I make fun of everybody. I make fun of myself. I make fun of that governor and mayor. But you got to be serious too. My life is a serious life. I raised, my friend, I raised 3 of my own children. Don't think it's easy. I have 105 nephews and nieces that I am involved with. I am the leader of my family. I take it serious. My issues, when I have to go to the hospital and somebody hurts themselves or somebody dies, I have to prepare a speech, get up there. I have to be part of the funeral procession, help them get married. I have children who don't belong to me, friends who've died of heart attacks, accidents, and we have to raise money for the families. We have to make sure that the kids go to school in yeshivas. Sometimes girls on the street, the parents throw them out. We have to make sure they don't do bad things to them or they get hurt. And we try to help as a community to get them back, talk to the parents, work with the parents. Didn't have many girls come through my house, but I've worked with a few. I had a Muslim girl. I have 2 Jewish girls that came through us. I have many nieces that I scream at all the time.
Hesh, how do these different children from different backgrounds, when you're fostering them, how do they get along?
They're great. You talk to them as a regular person. You see, a lot of people have problems, and you want to know what your problem is, and I'm talking to you and everybody out there. People are not colorblind. That's their problem. My father taught me one thing: be colorblind, Heshy. There is no color. There is no such thing as color. So when you want to tell me Muslim, Jew, black, yellow, orange, to me, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I hear sometimes the prejudice from the inspectors, or sometimes I'm in a community that talks bad about another community. They use words, and I say to them, please, not around me. You know, I tell them, not that I don't understand the words. Trust me, I've heard it in movies and all that. It bothers me. It bothers me, and I don't want it said in my presence. And I will tell you, when I was, 2nd grade, I was 9 years old, or 8 or 9, I don't remember exactly, it was 6, 7, 8 or 8, 9 years old. I was taught, you know, like any kid, we were learning dirty words, bad words. And one of the words I learned was an N-word, plus all the other bad words that something do slip out of my mouth, which I tried to control myself. But when I fight with Linda, not really. But anyways, I think she's the one who curses, not me. She's a classy woman. Anyways, so I said the N-word going home to my mother one day. I was 8 or 9. I remember my mother sat me down, brought my father in and smacked me and said, I'm not going to hit you again, but we don't know such words. And I said, Mommy, explain it to me. And my father, who marched in the 60s, who was in the concentration camp with the numbers and showed them to me and screamed at me. And I used to take my children. People ask me, Heshy, you're such a nut. Why do you have good kids? I said, because I taught them every day to say, please, thank you. Come with me to the hospital. Come with me to visit people. Look how lucky you are in your life. People are struggling, suffering. They can't walk. They can't even eat. Some of them can't breathe. Some of them are living in squalor that you're embarrassed. Some of them, like my son, I just love him. He's 30 years old. I can't deliver the boxes. Tonight we packed boxes. He went out delivering boxes. He goes out to families. He drops off 10 boxes out of the 130 boxes we pack. You teach them kindness to a fellow man and see how much more they have. And that's all you do. So you want to ask me how they get along? In my eyes, there is no such thing as different people. I know you don't understand it. I know Heshy's pitching his product. He wants to be city council. No. But
I'm
you know,
if that was
something new for me, walk around my community and you can just ask Heshy Tischler. Matter of fact, when you come to my block, ask, do you know where Heshy lives? And they'll point to my house. Don't even ring the bell. They're going to tell you the door is open. And
let me ask you something here, Heshy, because you mentioned your father's tattoo, and I've had friends of the family and relatives and things.
Tattoo. It wasn't tattoo, my friend. We call it the numbers.
The numbers, the Nazi tattoo. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, Jews who were interred in concentration camps were tattooed with a serial number to dehumanize them, and it's particularly offensive in the Jewish community because
keep track of them as well.
But it's also particularly offensive because the Jewish faith orders us not to tattoo the body. So by disrespecting that, Nazis did that. I had a conversation with somebody last night in front of the bar because my question was, why are these sheriffs not upholding the Constitution? And some idiot from the neighborhood told me, don't yell at them, they're just doing their job. And I said, no. First of all, don't tell me what to do. And second of all, if they were doing their job, they would have refused the mayor's orders to do this illegal shutdown. And I reminded him that the soldiers who carried out the Nazis' orders and marched Jewish people, including your father, onto trains that took them to the torture and enslavement at concentration camps also said they were just doing their jobs. I offered these sheriffs which one of them would place their gun and badge down on the sidewalk and come join us on the other side of the line and show that they're upholding the Constitution. Not a one of these cowards did that. I do not support criminals in uniforms. I support law enforcement, but these guys last night were not enforcing the law. They were enforcing illegal orders from a criminal in Gracie Mansion who they should be arresting if they were law enforcement.
Not only Gracie, and not only the governor. You notice there was no policemen there. The policemen were just watching and blocking
Standing
the streets.
back, yes.
Because the police are not going to enforce it. They know that it's a wrong law, and you cannot, even though the governor decided to make a law, if it's a law, it's a wrong law. Again, like I tell people, the Assembly, the Senate, the City Council have their own lawyers. The lawyers are out there every time a councilman or assemblyman or a state senator want to make a law, and it goes against the Constitution, they figure out a way around it. I don't know if that's right, but that's the fact. I know from inside sources this is what they do, and they're very smart about it. And and I'm going to make the first law is that every single councilman has to read the entire bill, not part of the bill. I learned this from Tim Pool's show. Ian told me, and it was brilliant. They can't just read a blurb. I want them to read the whole bill. I want them to see what the game is being done by that other councilman or that other person, that they should understand it. And they're going to swear to it, because if they lie, I will catch them and they'll go to jail for perjury. This is not a game when you're dealing with documentation with the government. By the way, my father was a soldier. He was captured. And yes, he went to the concentration camp. I marched in there and survived. Thank God he lost 10 of his family. 2 sisters lived. My mother only lost 2. She wasn't captured. They were escaping. But I've heard these people cry. My father was so happy to live to 60. My father wasn't going to marry. He told me at the end, he says the rabbis told him to marry, even though I love rabbis. I love priests. But some of them you think are smarter than me. They're not smarter. And my family understands that you have to use your own brains. When you hire a lawyer, you think the lawyer is a genius. You think he knows everything. You've got to do your own research. All your lawyer is a tool for you to use. If you think you're going to sit back and let him do his magic, hey, there are some of them that are great and they charge a lot of money. Most of them are idiots. Really, most of them, and if I have to go defend myself.
To be fair, Hesh, I think there's no way that any lawyer could possibly know the intricate details or have the passion and drive that anyone would have for their own case. So, I mean, a lot of them are.
I tell it to my clients too. If you're not going to be involved with your own project, you're not going to give me the details. Remember, we're doing 20 different, 30 jobs. We're going to misplace something. Yeah, maybe we'll take on a dedicated job. But my point that I'm trying to make to you is that you have to be involved. I made a mistake a couple of years ago. I hired a lawyer and I trusted him and I blew it. The one time in my life that I myself will always help people, advise people, teach them research. And I fight with the lawyers. In my office, we have mock kangaroo court, and the lawyer sits in the middle. I'm the defense attorney. My partner's the prosecutor. We curse, we scream, we holler at each other. And the lawyer just sits back and he learns. That's what we do. We tell him what to do. Our leaders, or I don't call them leaders, but our so-called elected officials are our guides. They have to help us. They're not our fathers. They're not our mothers. You're a grown man. That's my point to you. I've raised children. I've helped the sick. Most of us do that. We all become mothers, fathers, uncles, helpers, volunteers. You know, a guy came to me today, Heshy, what can I do? I want to do something for you in the hospital. I said, no. What you're going to do is there's two people. One old man wants you to come visit him and learn with him every week for an hour. That's all he needs. Another old man needs a companion to go to the hospital. He'll pay for the car service. He'll pay for the lunch. All you have to do is join him, go to the hospital with him, sit with him 4 hours and come back. That's it. Oh, it's nothing. It's so much. It is so much. I've done it. These are people that are so happy for that 1 hour or 4 hours. It makes the whole week. They look forward for the whole week. This governor and mayor think they're our boss and they can control every moment of my life. And like I keep telling you, I'm free. My wife is free. My children are free. My neighbors are free. You are free. This is our country. And for some reason, people don't care. People don't care about their fellow man. And America is so great that you have to care about your fellow man. That's what keeps our country so good. I don't know.
It's true.
I don't know.
I want to clarify something for our viewers. There's some kind of technical issue with the Zoom call, this number that's popping up.
Yeah, I'm going to fix that. Hold on.
It's not a phone number. It's not a way to reach Hesh. It's just some mistake. He'll address it. We'll get back to Hesh in just a moment here. But people can learn more about Heshy by subscribing to his YouTube channel, Just Enough Heshy on YouTube. And of course, we want people to vote for Heshy for city council. And I want to get into that next, because just to take you back for a moment, Heshy, to last night's rally, you know, I was speaking to a city councilman. I didn't get his name, but I asked him specifically, if these sheriffs are violating the Constitution, can we call the NYPD to have them arrested? And he said authoritatively, as a former member of the NYPD, that NYPD would definitely not interfere with another law enforcement agency, which was understandable but disappointing. And it causes me, I asked the question, you know, at what point do these sheriffs stop acting on illegal orders? Because if the mayor tells them to go shut down somebody's business and they do it, okay. If the mayor tells them to go kill somebody, do they do that? Where do they draw the line? So I'm concerned that we have former NYPD guys who don't want to straighten out this problem. I mean, I don't know what he's doing for city council, but give us a little background, Heshy, on what your experience is with city council, why you want to run for city council, how you intend to change city council, and how people can help you beyond going to heshytischler.com and making a financial contribution to the campaign.
So I'm going to tell you very simple. Number one, I know a lot of good inspectors that have resigned and given up their jobs because they won't follow this stupid edict from the mayors or from their bosses to give out frivolous violations. Good men, good inspectors. I know some police officers that have dropped off from the job because they can't do it. They're retiring. They can't believe what they're forced into do. Yes, a lot of people, a lot of these sheriffs and police officers, they need the money. They can't be fired on the street. So they're following these rules. I don't agree with it. I would immediately quit. Just like when I was in trouble a couple of years ago, I wouldn't cooperate with the government on stupidity or asking me for secret information on my community. And I said, take me to jail. It's not the first time I've been to jail. I'm not scared of it. I go to jail, visit every 2 weeks. I know the deals. Sure, it's not a good thing to go, but I am a man of honor. Now, how am I going to change city council? There are 51 councilmen. Out of the 50, that's it. It's like the council is the Congress to the president. The city council is the boss of the mayor. You're right. The mayor is the boss. He signs the paperwork. He is our boss. But we can also override the mayor with a majority vote every single time.
Huh.
And we're going to get 26 councilmen out of the 51 to vote with me. I'm going to create an alliance. I already have the 3 Republicans I'm going to try to work with. I have already 5 new councilmen I'm going in. I'm going to try to find myself 26 councilmen with me and Kalman Yeager, who's the incumbent that I'm not running against, to beat them. Now, this speaker you have there in front of you, Mr. Johnson, promised to do good. Instead, he's an idiot. I mean, the man he wanted to run for mayor, and he has depression. How does a man with a $90 billion budget, signing regulations, bringing up stuff, has depression? Resign your position if you have depression. How is he running a city depression? I mean, are you listening now? We have 8 million people, and the speaker of the city council has depression. I mean,
so what? I don't think a lot of people know what the city council really does. So is this guy's full-time job or what?
The city council is the boss of the city. We control the $90 billion budget. We fund and defund many different agencies, from housing to money. We give all the different boroughs money. We give all the different, we pay the police. We pay the building department. We have committees that oversee, which every committee, by the way, you get $180,000 salary. You get $30,000 for every committee you sit on, plus another $10,000 if you're committee chairman. $69 a day. I don't even know for what. I like that $69 thing. You know what I mean? Because Linda only gives me $20, and then you get $1 million for office expense, $1.5 million for donations, another $1 million for rent. I mean, by the time we blink, the city council members are $151 million in just nothing. Now, I work 8 hours a day. I'm on 7 boards, really 12 now. I do volunteer work. I run around at night. I can barely get home by 11:30 at night. These guys are on 7 committees. They have, a community, constituent affairs. They have to go to different events. They have to go home. They have to work an 8-hour shift, and they have to travel. And I don't know how they do all of this. That's why things are not running correctly. And they do certain committees because the better committee, the more money you make. I'm only going on the committee to destroy the Department of Buildings, Department of Finance. I'm going to combine those agencies and show you how, with today's technological stuff, I can lower our budget right off the top, $2.5 million, without defunding the police. I can show you other ways, because I'm a businessman. Half of these guys have not done audits. I have a lady running against me who hasn't worked in 4 years. You better explain to me how you're going to have a budgeting $90 billion. I have another lady who's a secretary in a school, and she wouldn't give me an 80. She gave one of my boys an 89.7 average. Have you ever heard of an 89.7? A, B, C, D, 89, 90, 91. You have to average it up. She's going to be a councilman. If she can't deal with a 0.3, how is she going to deal with $1 billion? And I'll keep going and going and going. But in city council, when I get there, I'm not going to be making 30, 40 new laws a month, which they're doing now, throwing new stuff. Now we're going to have a ticket law that you call 311 and you take a picture. And if you see your neighbor double park, now the ticket says of $115 to $175, you get 25% of the action. You know, Billy Idol law, Billy Idol, who goes out and pitches a law that he doesn't even know what he's talking about, that if you idle your car for 3 minutes, means Jason, like I told Tim, you're going to take me to the store. I said, Tim, let me run it. I mean, Jason, let me go buy a pack of cigarettes. I know you don't want me to buy cigarettes. I'll go buy diet pills, which I'm never going to buy either. I'm going to do something for 3 minutes, okay? And you're idling outside because you want to keep the car warm. You can get a ticket of $1,000. Heshy, it's not true. You're lying. You know what? I'll show you a ticket.
$1,000?
Yeah.
This is absolutely idiotic. What does Billy Idol have to do with this?
So it's called the idling law. So New York City hired him to go on TV and billboards.
How much did they pay him?
I don't know.
He's not even from New York.
I used to like him, but now I don't anymore. He can idle his own head. That's what he can do. But these people are torturing my residents, tripling building department fines. I got arrested once that there was a sanitation worker, a 16-year-old. I have a picture, by the way. I saved it all these years. Her name was Miss Harper. She went the entire 16th Avenue. That means she started like 43rd Street ended like at 58th Street, but you got stuck by me. Every building got a ticket of $100 for non-sweeping, wind, rain, nothing. Sidewalk in the middle of the afternoon, you can't do that. We only have to sweep 6 to 8 in the morning and in the evening. That's store owners. Homeowners don't have to do it. If you take your garbage out and they don't pick it up, you have to pull it back in. But if you don't pull it in back enough in the morning because you woke up late or your kids are going to school, again, $100 ticket. You don't have covers on your garbage cans, $100 ticket.
Allison in the chat on Periscope raises an excellent point that I was just thinking. The cop cars are idling all the time.
Oh, did you ever see police officers speaking on their cell phone while they're driving?
I see them doing nothing but looking at their cell phones, including failing to enforce the law.
But the reason why they're allowed to do that, because law enforcement officers need to break the law to uphold the law. I love police officers. So I'm going to tell you now, I'm not talking against them. The sheriffs are idiots because they're not real police officers. You know what I mean? They should be real police officers. I deal with the building department called Mayor's Task Force, another Nazi organization. And there's a guy, Inspector Bonicelli. He hates Jews. I've been on inspections, videotaping him. We passed. He then tells us, no, you didn't pass 6 more months. You have to redo the paperwork. We redo it. We follow his instructions. People can't live in the house. He comes back. Everything's exactly the way the video and everything says. You know what? I'm going to have to give it into audit. I'm not sure you did it right. And then another 6 months passes, and we call his boss. We scream at him. Then he says, I have to review it. I mean, till somebody gets into compliance in this city, it could take 1.5 years. He could be bankrupt and nothing. Now, this inspector from the Mayor's Task Force have their own private sheriff and police force walking around with them.
What?
Now, yeah. Inspectors have their own people with 2 bodyguards. They have 2 guys with them. It's usually gangsters of 3 or 4 that come to the building. And if you ever see inspectors in the car running around giving the violations, there's 3 of them in the car. How do you do social distancing with 3 of them in the car in the time of the corona? Oh, they're wearing masks? Please. What are you telling me? They're sitting all day long together in the car. They should be sending them 1 out at a time. So this lady, Miss Harper, gave everybody a ticket. When she got to my store, she started arguing with me because I was defending the synagogue next door. She said, I'm going to give you a ticket. Look at that box in the corner. And I took a picture of the box against my wall. And I had a fight with her. And she posted I wouldn't take it. She posted the $100 fine on my wall. And I grabbed it off the wall and I ripped it up. She runs away. She called me a effing Jew. And there was like 13 witnesses, black people there, Muslim people there, Jewish people there. It was cool. I was a whole crowd. You know, whenever there's something happens, a crowd comes. And that's why I try to tell you, it's like inciting a riot every time something happens. She runs away laughing at me, and she comes back an hour later with the cops stating that I touched her. As she posted, everybody said it's not true, that I touched her. And since I touched her too hard, her hand exploded. She put a piece of ice there. She started to sue for workman's comp. She tried to get out of her job. Big fat woman. You think I'm fat? She was like triple my size. And she didn't want to work. And I wish I could post a picture to you because you'd have a good laugh. And they came and arrested me, costed me $7,000.
What?
And I went
they arrested you just because she made this allegation with no evidence?
Right. And they made a lineup.
You know, Hesh, I've been insulted. I've been assaulted right in front of the cops, and they've not only not arrested the guy, they refused to do anything.
Right. So I had to go through about 5 months of hell, $7,000 for a $100 ticket, which I actually went to court and got dismissed. And anyways, we got to court and we went to the district attorney. We said, we're ready to go to court. And we showed her 13 affidavits. She says, I want to interview the witnesses. She interviewed all the witnesses twice. They all came for me. They love me. And the black guy said, she said, effing Jew. He said, I couldn't believe the scene that I saw. The Muslim guy defended me, the Middle Eastern guy defended me the most of everybody. He says he didn't do, and they're not Jewish. And then I had to get them to come testify in front of he picked 3 of them and he tried to mix them up. At the end, they said, you know, if you're going to falsify documentation, district attorney, or give it in, it's illegal. We did it in. They told me, we're going to give you a release. We're going to drop the charges, show up on this and this day. I showed up on the day. They didn't drop it. There was nobody there. They tried to trick me because if you don't show up in court, it's called a default judgment. Default judgments, you get warrants, and I'm smarter than them. This is what I do. And I even take defaults out of defaults. I file motions for that. And I went and then I found the calendar and I saw that it was 2 days later. And then he says, "Oh, I apologize. I gave you the wrong date." So forget that he wasted a day, another day of my life or time. Anyways, I went there and we got it dismissed. Now, I was told that if I don't keep quiet, they'll come after me again, or they won't dismiss it, or they'll give me a conditional release.
The court?
The district attorney. The district attorney.
Wow.
And
Cy Vance?
if I don't leave, not Cy Vance, one of the local assistant district attorneys, some stupid woman. And if I leave it alone, I don't have, after like 90 days, I can't sue anymore. And that's what had to be done. Leave it alone for 90 days. You want to go to Supreme Court later on, you want to do something later. But the rule says you must within 90 days sue for falsifying arrest, sue the other person. And then I remember when the Workmen's Comp Board came after me, I said, she lost a case. I have proof she's lying. She's suing me personally and my building, which I don't even, she wasn't injured. So, for $1 million, by the way.
What?
I ended up, we found out from her friends, she never wanted to work. Half the time she wasn't there. I heard it. But the Department of Sanitation Commissioner was so adamant, because these guys think they own us. They're the bosses. They hate the Jews. We have schools that put out garbage every day, not every 2 days. We had a truck assigned to us. The Department of Sanitation told us, I'm only going to pick up Boro Park garbage if you're not recycled. You know how to recycle bottles, cans, and so on. Now I want something called an organic recycling. I don't know what that is. It's in your brown little cans they give you. Nobody does it. Nobody even tries to do it. And she threatened us. I said, you know how much money that will cost us? And she took away our garbage truck, even though we promised to pay $1 million to get it moved around every single day. But again, these guys have the power. When I get in there, I'm going to be their boss. How am I going to change city council? I'm not going to let bills pass every 2 days. I'm going to filibuster stupidity. I'm going to revamp the entire budget from beginning to end. We have a committee and an agency that just reviews plaques and statues. New plaques and statues, and how to remove old plaques and statues. That's what we have. We spent.
It took them 2 months to clean F the police off of George Washington and Washington Square Park.
But we have a whole thing of $1.25 million just assigned to that committee. I mean, just waste after waste after waste. Parks, do you know that while all during the March, April, May, and June, I want you to hear this, all the parks were closed officially. Do you know that every parks employee was getting overtime, got overtime? How could you be overtime if the parks are closed?
Yeah, why overtime?
Because they seem to have been working, driving around, watching the parks and cleaning. I don't know what they were cleaning. It just doesn't make sense. Overtime in the millions and millions of dollars when they should have all been laid off since the parks are closed.
Right. And also it's the same people who are making the decision that all of us have to stay inside our houses. You know what you were saying about the fines? A friend of mine owns a hair salon and he's really struggling. As he was closed down for 4 months, the rent accumulated. Most of his clients have moved out of the city or are no longer working in Midtown, and so they're not coming in for haircuts and things like that anymore. And you know, he said the health inspectors came in there. You know, they have that blue water that the combs go in at the barber.
Yeah.
It was like an inch lower than it needed to be. They gave him like a $700 fine.
If you go to a restaurant and they run out of the paper towels, and when you're washing your hands, because till it runs out, you got to tell the guy, they change it. They can't check every 10 minutes, $1,000 fine. If the temperature is off by something, even though half the time their gauges are all garbage or broken, they're just finding, you know, when all the barbershops are closed, when all the barbershops are closed in March, April, May, June, I needed a haircut. So a normal haircut, you know, Linda goes to the beautician for like $100 billion. Wow, every month we're broke. You know, when they go to the hair salons, I just want to tell you a secret. You know, if your wife comes home angry at you, it's a little gang over there in the hair salons. All these women, they talk and they tell your wives how hateful you are. Your husband's cheating on you. You're bad. Every time Linda comes home from that hair salon, she looks beautiful, but she's mean to me. So I try not to let her go anymore to the hair salon. And it costs $120.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. And that's before they do those fingernail things. Me, I spend $20 at a barber, and he's good to me, and we have a good time, and he gives me a lollipop. So even now, when they came now to my barber shop, I was standing there Sunday. I wouldn't let them in. I said, "You have a warrant?" And they looked at me. I said, "My name is Heshy Tischler. So whatever game you want to play, call the police. They all know me. You're not coming in." "No, we want to check." I said, "You're not coming in. Get it out of your head. Post a notice. We'll only want to give you information." I said, "Give it to me." She says, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm the representative of this community, of every store here. If you have a problem, the owner will come out. But right now, I'm here." And I got rid of them. And I stood there because I knew they were going to walk up the block and try to walk back in. My point that I'm making here is, by the way, when I couldn't take the haircuts and they closed the barbers, underground haircuts were going for $80, $90.
Whoa. Wow.
And we needed it. Yeah. People needed it. And I got one of my clients that I saved his behind. He says, "Heshy, your hair is long." I said, "I'm not paying $80, $90 for a haircut. Linda will kill me." And he ended up sending me a barber. Very cool. He was so busy. He was going from place to place with a driver in a car. He had a driver a whole day taking him around. That's how much money this guy was making.
Wow.
He was a very good barber. He did a great job on my hair.
Heshy, it's having an impact throughout the city. All these independent businesses are being closed down. You know, what Danny was doing and everybody who was there supporting Mac's Public House last night, it wasn't about a bar or a restaurant. It was about all this stuff that you're talking about, this incredible overreach. Some petty woman who thinks that she can bring the police to mess up your life and get you. If that person moves up the chain, city council, deputy mayor, that's how we get the type of criminals who are ordering these sheriffs to shut these businesses down, to paint the street with Black Lives Matter when they can't even clean off graffiti off of the...
You know that's illegal. You do know that's illegal. Okay, it's $1,000 fine or $750 or $1,000. I'm not sure, to paint a yellow line on your curb cut. You know, where you go up into your driveway. So you don't want people to block it when they park in front or back of it. So you want to show them their location. It's a $750 or $1,000 fine. God forbid you mark a spot on the street for yourself where just to show them the turning points. More, it's a criminal ticket, I think that is. I mean, this mayor paints Black Lives Matter on the street. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong that we allow them to get away with it. And supposedly what I'm told is he's the mayor, so he's allowed to get special permits. And I do permits. That's what I do for a living. I get permits. Do you know how hard is it to get a permit? Months, weeks, even if you're lucky, maybe a couple of days. And that's just a sanitation or ticket, or a sanitation dumpster to be put in front of your house, or to fix a curb cut concrete permit, would take another couple of weeks, and they only last for 30 days. This guy was able to do it in a day. And if you remember the picture of him painting, he was painting it with no social distancing next to everybody.
Smiling like a jackass as he did it right in front of Trump Tower. You know, it's one thing to do it in front of City Hall to express support for that movement. That's his political prerogative. But it was so provocative to do it in front of Trump Tower. It was
Why is it? There's no significance for the city to have it in front of Trump Tower. I know it's to hate Trump.
No. The significance was to antagonize Trump. And I've never...
But that itself is a crime of harassment.
Well, he was inviting violence right there in front of Trump Tower by doing something so provocative. If he wants to say, hey, New York City supports Black Lives Matter, we're renaming this park to, doing it in front of City Hall actually had historical and it had significance because it's very close to the African burial ground. And putting that mural in front of the courthouse, right near the African burial ground, right near City Hall, at least that's his place to sort of do with as he deems appropriate. Putting it in front of Trump Tower was provocative against the president. It drew Trump supporters there. It drew Black Lives Matter supporters there. And it was like laying down the powder and handing somebody a bunch of matches and walking away and saying, go light this powder keg on fire.
Yeah. So that's my deal for city council. we're going to get enough votes to constantly override the mayor, and make our own programs. We're going to, you're right, we're going to have to band together because the mayor is one who's the boss. But if we have enough of our votes, which we're going to need 26 bosses, and we're going to have to try to, but again, everybody's greedy. All these councilmen want something for their community. They don't want to share with the rest of the boroughs. So they'll make deals with the mayor or with other councilmen. So they get, while the rest of us don't get. You know, I was screaming at my councilman, saying to him, you know, we're paying now during the pandemic, forget we don't collect rent, forget that we can't pay our mortgages. But if you pay your taxes, your property taxes late, you pay an 18% interest. So we we started complaining to the councilman, and he got up and he put an amendment on a bill. I said, do you really believe that anybody on the planet is going to agree to that amendment 18 hours before the bill has to pass? You didn't even argue the case. What do? You got up and argued it for an hour to get 18% off. Nobody's going to give that up. The 18, banks don't charge so much interest. Loan sharks don't charge so much interest. And the city's charging you 18% interest for paying your taxes late. Yes, a day late, 2 days late. It's called late. And it's not a late. It's based on the whole previous quarter. And if you don't have the money, you're going to pay interest on the interest. These guy went up there and they did it. I said, to pass that shouldn't be an amendment. Should be a bill itself to stop the 18% interest. That it should be a stop. Right now, they were able to stop people paying rent, stop evictions with no problem passing that.
Right.
Just pass this thing. They were able to do it without doing legislation. Here, they couldn't do it because they didn't get together. They're greedy pigs. When I get into the city council, if they don't agree, they're doing something wrong, I'm going to get on TV. There's a city council channel. They pick their nose, they scratch their behind. It's so boring for 4 hours. When I get on there, guys, well, get on there. When I'm on there, sign up. It's going to be the #1 show in town. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be screaming. When I see a councilman doing something bad, I'm going to go into his district. I'm going to tell his people that this councilman's an idiot. When I see councilmen not cooperating and doing the right thing, I'm going to tell it to the people. Hey, people, this is your idiot councilman. I'm going to pass a bill that will allow councilmen to be recalled. I'm going to be passing a bill that mayors could be recalled that can go to the state level. But I'm going to start, once I get enough power here in New York City, and I get the people, the movement to grow even more. Our movement has not grown that much. We have thousands of people have joined. Remember, it started with me one day just at the park. Now kids have joined me. The parents have joined me. People in Staten Island are stepping up. Buffalo is stepping up. Jersey are screaming. Marches, car parades. We're closing down streets. We are finally fighting back. Movement is not big enough because we're still scared. Look at California. Why are people sitting in their homes whimpering? They should be out there with flags burning right now. And New York City, I dare this governor. Listen to me, governor. I hope you're watching this.
Don't burn anything.
I dare you to close this town down because I'm not going home. I'm going to be standing on the street. I'm going to have my people. I'm going to burn the flag right there on the street. If you think you're going to take my rights away again and shut this city down, it's never going to happen. Now, my point is we need to make it grow longer. When I get into the city council, I'm going to fight all of this. I'm going to bring these laws up, and then I'm going to go after my assemblymen and state senators and say, pass the same law against the governor. If not, I'm going to tell the people of the city and the state that you're no good. I'm going to campaign against you. When Governor Cuomo runs, I'm going to have a person to run after. Everybody says, you should run for governor, Heshy. Run for mayor. Listen to me. I'm focused. I'm 56. I'm going to run for city council. I want to fix my city. I don't need higher office. I don't need you to bow before me. I don't need you to say anything nice. When I'm a city council, you're going to have to call me your honorable Heshy this time. No, that's a joke. No, I'm joking, guys. Heshy, plain Heshy. I'll make the other councilman call me your honor, especially the mayor will have to call me your honor.
Exactly.
But I'm telling you now, and the governor will have to call me Mr. Tischler. No more Heshy. He has no permission for that.
Real quick, Hesh, because I just wanted to tell you, the movement is definitely growing, and it's gone beyond Brooklyn. It's gone beyond Staten Island. It's gone beyond New York. It's our rally from last night has been picked up by the Daily Mail. So people in the United Kingdom are now reading about how more than 2,000 people.
Right. I've been getting calls from all over the world for months already. I have people see me in the streets. They're from London. They're from Connecticut, California, Israel, South Africa, Australia. People ask me to send them videos. Heshy, give us some kind of menucha, peace in our brain that this might end. Now, before you end your show, I think you're going to be rushing me. The vaccine is coming out.
Oh yeah.
I speak to a lot of doctors. I help doctors as well. They say they have to take the vaccine because they're frontline workers and they need it. Otherwise, they won't be able to go back to work or they have to wear a mask for the rest of their lives.
They're being mandated to do it.
Right. So I'm telling them, you think it's safe? They're saying it's safe. Now, I talked to a chemist today that said there's mercury in it. I said, but I take the flu shot. I have a vaccine. I'm an anti-vaccine too. That means if you don't want to take it, don't take it. If I take the vaccine, then I won't get sick. You'll get sick and die. So the vaccine I'm going to take to show the world that it's a fake vaccine. Supposedly there's no ferrets in there because that's what I heard the vaccines were supposed to be made of. Yeah, there was the COVID disease was really out in 1916. And they supposedly ferrets are close to humans and they were supposed to test it on them. Then the ferrets died. There was supposedly a vaccine made in 1916. But all I know is I know this vaccine it's not like the flu vaccine that has a little piece of the disease in it that goes into your system and it teaches you. This one is free of all of that. And it's supposedly free of mercury. And I know that it has no tracking devices in there. I hope so. What are they called again? Not the tracking devices, little
the quantum dot and the RFID chip that they want us to. There's a lot of different plans that they're coming up with for these digital health passports, whether it's in your phone or something that'll actually be recorded on your body.
We know they're listening to our phone. That's why I'm careful on the phone. But sometimes there's only so much you can do. I mean, they don't have enough people to judge us. That's why I get angry with the city. We have 8 million people. We have 35,000 cops and a couple of sheriffs and a bunch of 337,000 government employees. We outnumber them. They can't do nothing to us. Why are we scared of them? They're bullying us and we're scared of them. We're not scared. Sometimes you see some people standing up to them. You have guys walking around with guns shooting people on the street. I mean, these guys are tough guys. You have gangsters. You have people selling drugs in the open, and they're coming after my stores. They're closing. You think what happened to Max is anything? I have a lady. They went in there, 11 sheriffs with guns, telling her, "We know you're going to open tomorrow. You better not." I know another guy at a store. They had 3 inspectors that went in there, went behind the counter to look through her receipts.
What?
Yeah, another guy had his door open. As you can see the video, our councilman finally woke up, Mr. Deutsch, and posted it, went viral, that they gave him a ticket for having an empty store, but his door was open. And the inspector said, "I have to give you the ticket because you're on the list." An empty school
I saw
went
that.
viral.
Yeah.
Again, over, and this is not once, over and over and
Hesh,
over.
how do we remove the mayor? How do we start a process to impeach the mayor?
You can't. That's the problem. New York State Constitution.
We have to change
which they
that.
know. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in a bill to remove any mayor, to recall any mayor with enough signatures. I'm going to have to use my brain because every time some idiot has a fight with the mayor, they'll remove every mayor. So we're going to use our thing, and then it'll have to go to a standard vote again. Do you really want the mayor removed? So there will be a process. It won't be a process they'll take a year. It'll be a process of a few months. But yes, the mayor will be under siege, just like they did to the president, that he was under siege. Do you believe that that's why I don't understand the last 4 years. They tried to tell us that the president was a Russian spy.
Ridiculous.
And they made us nervous. They didn't let us sleep day and night, Russian collusion, and they wanted to stop the country. Thank God the president thought it was a laughter, and they blew $60, $100 million doing this. Forget no legislation really passed. Then after the mayor wasn't found out after the president wasn't to be a spy, we then stopped the budget. If you remember, the government closed down because the Congress and the president couldn't get on the same page. I understand. We have trillions of dollars floating around, and you can't get on the same page. You 50 or you 300, what is it, 400 12 and 13, like, was it 425 Congress people? You can't figure out how to control a couple of $1 trillion and you make the rest of the country suffer? We re-elected these losers? We put Pelosi back in power? Are we nuts? You know it was done on purpose. And then again, I'm not saying there's election fraud, but you know there was election fraud. You know there was problems with it. So I asked somebody, if you cheat, is the game over? They said, yeah, the game is over and you lose. It's not that you cheated and we start over again. It's not like you cheated and it stops now. It wasn't such a bad cheat. Listen, I only took one house from the game of Monopoly, not two houses, and I'll put it back. It doesn't work like that. So again, I don't know. I'm not saying I didn't see. I don't know. I was at 12 polling sites and I saw broken machines. I saw ladies rescanning. I saw people with 2 ballots. I didn't see the crazy numbers. I had somebody told me he got 10 ballots. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, my friend. I really don't know what to tell you.
It's a desperate moment in our history here, Heshy, and I think that definitely the people of Boro Park and the viewers of Crowdsource the Truth are thankful to have you. I want to remind everybody that whether you live in Boro Park or New York City at all, you can still support Heshy Tischler's campaign for city council by going to heshytischler.com, clicking on the donate button and making a financial contribution of your choice. It's going to go a long way towards helping New York City get back to a place of sanity, or at least what we in New York considered sanity before all this began.
You do know I'm going to be counseling for everybody.
That's right.
I'm only elected in my district, but I'm one of 51 that will help everybody. Postpartum, remember, they spend money on the dumbest things. I'm going to show you how to stop getting traffic tickets, moving traffic alone. I have plans for it. I have plans on postpartum depression, not $20,000, youth centers, drug centers, money that's supposed to be used the right way, not to be stupidly spent and given out to stupid donations, special needs children. Again, they are running the city because they're incompetent. They're not businessmen. And Mayor de Blasio, by the way, who's the boss of 337,000 employees, do you know how many businesses he's run in his time?
0.
Thank you. I love you. Do you know how many audits he's done in his time? 0. And this is a man that's running a $90 billion budget. Of course we lost $9 billion. Of course.
Well, Hesh, what happened to the $850 million that his wife can't account for?
Mistake. 1.25 billion. 1.25
What happened
billion.
to it?
I don't know. I really don't know, because I feel embarrassed because the councilman that I'm going to be replacing was in charge of that committee, I found out.
Well, what the hell? How come they're not investigating this? Why is de Blasio able to do all of this blatantly illegal stuff? It is so frustrating to me that we have no law and order. We've got homeless people sleeping in the fountain for weeks, attacking people. I've been assaulted 6 times since this thing began in 8 months, 7 times in the 30 years I lived in New York City, 6 of them in the past 8 months. Nobody does anything, you know? You're talking about people paint a yellow line and get a fine, and we got the mayor inciting violence by painting a mural on the street and nothing happens.
Not wearing a mask. Not wearing a mask, $1,000 fine. I'm defending 11 people. You know, the beginning.
When did that start? Not wearing a mask where?
That was all over. If you weren't wearing a mask, in the beginning, in March, April, and May, they were giving $1,000 fines, criminal tickets. I have 11 people I'm defending.
And of course, there was that issue where Francesco, what was his name? Francesco Garcia, former NYPD, he slammed the guy's head into the sidewalk and was put on desk duty for months. And then he just retired instead of going to his trial.
For not wearing a mask. Now the councilmen of my community are now going around and they're going to have a Zoom conference to teach people how to deal with their violations. Now, when you get a driving ticket, you don't go to court yourself. You get a professional to teach you and go with him and argue your case, or you can handle him the case. Usually these violations He doesn't pay for your time. You hire a guy, he goes down and he settles it, he gets you the lowest fine or gets you dismissed because it's all administrative. These two winners who have never done this before are now going to give advice to the community on how to work around their tickets. But they promised they were going to put, all they have to do is put legislation to get it dismissed. That's another thing I'm going to do when I get into city council. Don't pay your fines. I'm going to get them. The first thing I'm going to do a bill is amnesty on all the fines that were issued during Corona, even building department fines. Now, I do this for a living. They should have at least contacted me to be one of their advisors. They know what I do because when their people are in trouble, they send them. But you know what? These two guys are going to handle it themselves, or they're going to bring in some other winner that is not a professional. I'm the best at what I do. But you know what? They never hire the best. They pay top dollar for garbage. And this is what my city has come to. When I get into city council, I'm going to get rid of the corruption. You know, your mayor took bribes. Yes, one of my people, Mr. Rechnitz, gave him a bribe. And a couple of policemen went to jail. It was a big gun thing. The mayor took money from the guy who testified on everybody else and even said the mayor took bribes from him. Somehow the mayor got away with it. The mayor got away with not just ignoring it or denying it, never talking to the guy again. And I'm going to investigate this particular case that the mayor took money. I'm going to make sure that is going to have its own committee. I'm going to go after him because the mayor does not get immunity.
Hesh, what about a citizen's arrest of the mayor? If he's breaking the law, why can't the citizens enforce the law if the sheriffs and the NYPD will not?
So they're not breaking the law. The new law is an illegal law, but they're not breaking the law. He has the power under state emergencies, which doesn't exist. That's why Cuomo was laughing at all of us. Yeah, the Jews went to court, the Christians went to court. We beat that. They beat us, but right now it's a moot point. Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you. We've got the number.
So it's a moot point since we won the court case and since his executive order expired. That's what he does. He lets his executive order expire, and when it expires,
you can't sue him for it anymore.
Then he has to renew it. He has to renew his executive order. You understand?
Yes.
So he now waited for us to get the court case like last time. Now his new executive order will override the court's decision. That's what he does.
Unbelievable. There's a lot of loopholes there. Well, Hesh, we're going to keep our eyes on the campaign for city council. When is the election?
So February is signatures. If you can donate on February 22nd, I'll be putting together, I'd like you to come a few days before. You need about 1,000 or 1,500 signatures. And your competitors always take you to court. They make you spend thousands of tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, denying your signatures, saying they're fraud. Oh, the R is not all the way an R. He didn't check off this box. He doesn't have, they figure out a way to get rid of a lot of signatures. And if you have just enough or a little bit more, usually a candidate tries to get 2 or 3 times the signatures to fight. And once that happens, usually after a big battle of $20,000 or $30,000, again, they then decide if your signatures are valid or not. I'm going in with no doubt. I want 10,000 signatures. I need volunteers to go door to door, not stand on the street. Get me the signatures. I want to walk in there that there'll be no doubt. I won't even have to show up in court. Go ahead, fight my signatures because I know where they are, what they're doing, where they came from, each page. They even find a way that the person who took the signatures, the people who got the signatures, did it incorrectly. They just lie. It's a shame that they won't let a fellow man to even get on the ballot. You know that? When my son ran for city council, when he was 18 years old, I taught him how to do it. His competitor, who was Mr. Greenfeld, he took us to court and he got us down to 748 signatures. We missed it by 2. Whoa. This is when he spent $50,000 not to allow us on the ballot. And that's why he won.
Unbelievable. There's so much underhandedness. Well, I hope that people will follow you on Twitter. You're at Just Enough Heshy. It seems like most people can't get enough Heshy, but for now, we are at a time. And Hesh, I want to have you back. I want to follow the campaign. I want to definitely encourage people to visit HeshyTischler.com and join the campaign by donating. Can people sign signatures online or no? It's got to be in person.
No. This has to be in person. If you're not going to get those forms filled in person, they can check it doesn't work. This is not and I'm not even going to take a chance. I'm not even going to let them think I did fraud. I'm going to make the forms. I'm going to want volunteers. It starts, I think, February 21st or 22nd. So we want to get our team up and running by February 10th. I want to get at least like 500 volunteers. Okay, I know it's a dream, but I'd love to get at least 100 volunteers to go out there, get me my 10,000 signatures door to door, double check them, notarize them. Everybody's got to be a registered voter who comes from the Democratic side. We go out, we get those signatures, boom. And if you want, you can just volunteer in the office, pick up phones, call people for donations. But I'm hoping that I raise the funds. And again, go tell your friends about me, because I'm not going in there to be a loser in the city council or to be a quiet man for 8 years. I'm going in there to take over that city council with good men, good women. We're going to make changes. I'm not going to be depressed like Mr. Johnson. I've never been depressed. I do get disappointed. I get upset. I get sad when I see bad things happen. But how do you have a man who's ready to kill himself run the city council? Really, the man has depression. How is he running the city council? I mean, Jason, please explain it to me.
I never heard of the guy before today, but I'm pretty disappointed with what's going on in the city, and I've become much more interested in the city council than I ever have been before. People can also follow Heshy on YouTube at Just Enough Heshy. And we're going to, as I said, we're going to follow the campaign, Hesh, and I'd love to come visit you in Brooklyn sometime pretty soon. But we'll work that out offline. It's been great speaking to you tonight. Thanks for appearing in Staten Island last night and everything you're doing to support the whole community there in Boro Park and everybody in New York City.
I was in the Bronx. I opened up parks in Far Rockaway, Queens. I opened up parks in Crown Heights. This is my city. I'm going to repeat it to all of you guys over and over again. This is our town, our city, our country, and it all belongs to each one of you, including myself. Don't let them take away our freedoms, our rights, our city. And I'm not screaming now, as you can see. When I'm on the street, I have to scream, because when I'm making a 2-minute pitch, I'm trying to get as much information in there. And everybody wants me. You know what I told somebody the other day before you closed your show? They said, Heshy, calm down, chill. You don't need to be seen all the time. You don't have to make a comment all the time. And I sat back. I really did. And I said to them, you know what? Here's the deal. I'm going to take a month off. I'm going to disappear. It's all up to you. And you know what? I'll even drop out of the campaign if everything gets better. I'm willing to go away. But don't remember, when this happens, when you're in a zone, things are flowing. Just like in my job, my business, my life. It takes so long to get. It took me 3 years to get to the point of not being a public figure, because I've always been behind the scenes or a public figure or people who knew me in my neighborhood. But to get to the point where I can use my notoriety to help others. I don't need it for myself. I said, you know what? I'll take Linda. We'll go to Florida. I'll sit on the beach, drink pina coladas. I don't drink, but I'll make believe I'm drinking pina coladas. And I'll sit on the beach all day long. Everybody says, you can't do that. I said, trust me. You think I can't lay on the beach all day long and do nothing and snap my fingers and tell Linda to serve me? Well, I know, laugh. She's not going to serve me. But I can at least dream that she'll come serve me. I would love to sit there on the beach and retire, but I can't. The troubles, the tribulations, the strife of my fellow man. While I sit there, I'm not going to stand before the Holy Maker and let him scream at me and say, I am the greatest. God is the greatest man who does chesed, who does good for others, not man. God is the greatest being. That's what he was. That's what he does. He does good for others all day long. He created us humans in his image to continue to spread goodness and kindness. And we're going to stop. We're going to not do it. We're going to hurt others. God will be upset. Now, believe in him or don't believe in him. I have my issues with God. I get upset with him as like every other person. But I'm going to stand before the Holy Maker. I believe I will. I believe I will do my duty, and I will do it to my last breath. And maybe one day I'll take Linda to Florida and we'll lay on the beach and order pina coladas. And, Linda told me if we win the lotto, she's going to get a cook. I told this joke the other day. We're going to get a cook. And I said, no, Linda, I don't need a cook. I already have one. So, I got in trouble for that one. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Hesh, you're old school, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. And I think that everybody in New York is happy to have just enough Heshy. We need you in the city council. We're going to have you back on the show soon. Thanks for joining me
You
tonight,
bet.
Hesh.
And you're welcome to come to my house. Just don't eat Linda's food because you might choke. No, I'm joking. She's delicious.
We want to make sure people visit heshytischler.com, donate to the campaign, and I do want to remind people that this show is sponsored by you. I can't bring you great and interesting guests like Heshy Tischler without your support and sponsorship. So please visit subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We got great shows coming up tomorrow with David Hawkins and John Cullen. I'll see everybody then.